Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. June 5th, 2025, in Melbourne, Australia. We're reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 8, The Sons of Sagara Meet Lord Kapila, text 18 through 21. 18 on the board. Ayodhya Vasina Sarve Balakan Punar Agatan Drisva Vishvismire Rajam Rajasapyat Rajachapyan Vatapatya. Ayodhya Vasina, the inhabitants of Ayodhya, Sarve, all of them, Balakan, their sons, Punaha, again, Agatan, having come back to life, Drisva, after seeing this, Vismire, became astounded. Rajan, O King Parikshit, Raja, King Sagara, Cha, also, Api, indeed, Anvatapyata, very much lamented the absence of his son. Srila Prabhupada's translation. O King Parikshit, when all the inhabitants of Ayodhya saw that their boys had come back to life, they were astounded, and King Sagara greatly lamented the absence of his son. So, here we see that a great personality was not recognized. Such situation is a running theme throughout the Bhagavatam, that sometimes those who appear to be great and exalted are not so, and sometimes those who appear to be ordinary or even fallen are actually exalted. Can you think of another instance in the Bhagavatam like this? Jad Bharat. So Jad Bharat was actually exalted, but he wasn't recognized as such. He wasn't recognized as such by his parents, by his stepbrothers, and also not by King Rahugana. And there's that wonderful verse about how great personalities may be traveling in disguise. They may appear as young children that you're trying to keep quiet in the Bhagavatam class. But actually they may be very great personalities. And sometimes people who have seemingly great positions are not really so exalted. Can you think of any persons like that? Duryodhana, yes. In the Shastra. Duryodhana, yes. Any others? I don't think anyone thinks that gentleman is an exalted saint. Maybe somebody thinks that way. I don't know anybody who thinks that way. Anyone else? Durvasa Muni, yes, a good example. Maybe, excuse me, remember when Ravana dresses up as a holy man to kidnap Sita? So we have, of course, in Vrindavan, there's many demons who come disguised as devotees. What about Putana? Everyone thought she was exalted. Even Mother Yasoda, Mother Rohini, the residents of Vrindavan, they were all bewildered. So we can become bewildered. By the way, in case you're wondering, which I'm sure you all are, my right hand is broken, and I broke it on a chair with a carved handle. My little finger got stuck in the carving as I stood up, and it bent all the way backwards, and it broke this bone, which is evidently the most common hand fracture, although generally it happens to males in their 20s. It's called the boxer's fracture, but I was not boxing, I was just getting out of a chair. So we often will judge people externally, yes? And this was pretty severe. Correct? Yes? Asamanjasa was killing his friends. That seems like a good basis on which to judge him as demoniac and exile him. They didn't usually kill people in the royal order. They would just exile them. But it turned out actually he was a great personality and a great mystic, and he just didn't want to be bothered with anything in this world. So he didn't want the kingdom. He didn't want any responsibilities, and this was his rather unusual way of getting out of his position, was by apparently killing his friends and then bringing them back to life. So sometimes in this world we think, well, I'm going to become so intelligent that I'm not going to be fooled by anybody anymore. Have we all, who here has ever been fooled by someone? Some of you haven't lived very long. So we can get fooled in both ways. We can think that someone is a great personality and find out that actually they're evil, and we can think that somebody is degraded and find out they're actually a great personality, correct? Yes? And then we think, well, I'm going to be so intelligent and thoughtful that that will never happen to me. Such is not the case. It's not possible. I mean, we can say it's Leela, but even the residents of Vrindavan get fooled by Putana or Vatsasura or Pralambasura and so forth. And even someone like Maharaj Rahugana was fooled by Jadabhadata. So these are our lessons, to always be humble. Well, I may not know. I may not be able to understand. Okay, so there's no purport. I'm going to go on to text 19. Thereafter, Amsuman, the grandson of Maharaj Sagara, was ordered by the king to search for the horse. Following the same path traversed by his uncles, Amsuman gradually reached the stack of ashes and found the horse nearby. Text 20. The great Amsuman saw the sage named Kapila, a saint who is an incarnation of Vishnu, sitting there by the horse. Amsuman offered him respectful obeisances, folded his hands, and offered him prayers with great attention. And text 21. Amsuman uvacha na pastyati tvam param atmano gano na bhujyate dwapi samadhi yuktibi kuto pare tasya mana sa iradir visarga shrista vayam aprakasaha. So we have in this verse, for those of you who are able to see the verse, we have three very interesting words here: pastyati, buddhaye, and samadhi, also yukti bihi. And we also have this very interesting phrase, mana sharira di. So pastyati means to conceive, right? We sing this every morning in the prayers in the Brahma Samhita, pasyanti panti kalayanti. Buddhyate means, Buddha means what? Our what? Understanding, our intelligence. Samadhi? Trance. Yes. Prabhupada is translating yukti bihi as mental speculation. We have mana sharira di. So mana means the mind. Sharira, body. You should all know that. Saira vijajal jatendriya tehiko. Di. You should all know what di is. We have the word dhimahi. To consider, to be absorbed in. So if we have mana sharira di, it means to identify with the mana and sharira, to identify with the body and the mind. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Amsuman said, "My Lord," he's talking to Kapila, "even Lord Brahma is to this very day unable to understand your position, which is far beyond himself, either by meditation," what was the word for meditation in this verse? Or by mental speculation, which was, Prabhupada used the word yukti to mean that. So what to speak of others like that, who have been created by Brahma in various forms, as demigods, animals, human beings, birds, and beasts. We are completely in ignorance. Therefore, how can we know you, who are the transcendents? So I'd like you to think about why Anusman is speaking like this to Kapila? What is his mission? Amsuman, what's his mission? His mission. What's his mission? The horse is a good start, yes. What does it have to do with the horse? Who stole the horse? No one actually stole the horse. The horse kind of just got left there. Where's the horse? So what's Amsuman supposed to do about the horse? Get it back. Very good. All right. And what else is he supposed to do? He's supposed to do something else. Well, he's not going to do the Ashwamedha sacrifice. Sagara is. Yes, he has to take his dead uncles, who are now just piles of ashes. So his grandfather, who's his grandfather? Sagara. Good. So Amsuman's grandfather, Sagara, he cares about his sons, yes? Remember, by one queen he had 60,000 sons, another queen he had one son? Yes. So the one son, we found out, Sagara just did what with this one son? What's it called? Ansamajasa? Asamanjasa. Asamanjasa. So what did he just do with Asamanjasa? Oh my goodness. He was royalty, so he didn't have him killed. What did he do with him? He was banished. Why was he banished?
Because he was acting very unsocial.
Well, that's an understatement. What did he do? He was killing the other children. It's pretty unsocial. Yes. What do you think of that, Prabhu? Oh, he's pretty unsocial. He kills all his friends. You know? So we banished him, and then his other 60,000 sons were now what? Piles of ashes. Yes. Should he have banished his son? Asamanjasa, should he have banished him? No. Asamanjasa was actually a very great saintly person. So why was he killing his friends? So that he could get banished. He intentionally wanted to get banished. Yes, correct. I just talked about this for like 10 minutes. Yes? Yes, yes, yes? All right. So, Amsuman had two missions. What's his two missions? Again, what's his two missions? To get the horse back and to revive his dead uncle. Well, not necessarily to revive them, they were just piles of ashes. I don't know if he was trying to revive them, but he was trying to liberate them. Okay. So he comes to Lord Kapila. Let's read this verse again and wonder why he's saying this. My Lord, even Lord Brahma, is to this very day unable to understand your position, which is far beyond himself, either by meditation or by mental speculation. So what to speak of others like us, who have been created by Brahma in various forms, as demigods, animals, human beings, birds, and beasts. We are completely in ignorance. Therefore, how can we know you who are the transcendents? So why is he saying this? Why did all of his uncles get turned into ashes? Because of their offense. What was their offense? They thought that Kapila stole the horse. Yes, nobody stole the horse. They called him a thief. So here we have another misconception, thinking somebody is different than what they are. So they saw Kapila, who's the Lord, and they thought he was the thief of the horse. And for this offense, they turned into ashes. So their nephew here, Amsuman, is saying to Lord Kapila, what's he saying? no one can understand you. Why is he saying that? Here's a mission. You got the mission, right? Everybody has a mission? What's his mission? Get the horse and liberate his uncles. Why did his uncles turn to ashes? They called Lord Kapila a thief. So he comes and he says, nobody can know who you are. Why is he saying that? Yes, but why is he specifically saying this? Why is Amsuman, in trying to get back the horse and liberate his uncles, why does the first thing he says to Lord Kapila is nobody can figure out who you are? Because they called him a thief. So therefore he's saying, okay, why? What's the relationship? You're like 1 millimeter away from it. Just put those two things together. They called him a thief, and he's saying no one can understand who you are. Why is he saying this? Exactly. They didn't know who he was. That's why they insulted him. So Amsuman is saying, well, nobody can know who you are. It's not unusual. Even who can't know who you are? Even Brahma might not be able to recognize you. What to speak of my uncles? So please forgive them. Please have mercy. He's asking for mercy. So he's starting out asking for mercy. Is he making excuses? No, it might seem like that. He's saying, well, nobody can know who you are. But no, he's begging for mercy. Okay, let's read Prabhupada's purports. Icha dvesa samutena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarga yanti parantapa. This is a verse Prabhupada quotes a lot, by the way. Prabhupada quotes this verse quite a lot in relationship to the jiva being in the material world. O Sayana Bharata, Arjuna, O conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. Bhagavad Gita 7:27. All living beings in the material world are influenced by the three modes of material nature. Even Lord Brahma is in the mode of goodness. Similarly, the demigods are generally in the mode of passion, and living entities lower than the demigods, such as human beings and animals, are in the mode of ignorance, or in mixed goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now, this is sort of an astonishing statement, because generally Srila Prabhupada says that human beings are mostly in the mode of passion, and the demigods are mostly in the mode of goodness. So he's knocking us all down a level here. Therefore, Amsuman wanted to explain that because his uncles, who had burned to ashes, were under the modes of material nature, they could not understand Lord Kapila Dev. Quote, because you are beyond even the direct and indirect intelligence of Lord Brahma, unquote. He prayed, quote, unless we are enlightened by your lordship, it will not be possible for us to understand you. Atapite deva padambuja dvaya prasada lesh anu grahita evahi janati tatvam bhagavan mahim no na chanya eko pi charam vichinnan. Quote, my Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. This is Bhagavatam 10:14-29. So who must have said this if it's Bhagavatam 10:14? Lord Brahma. In what Leela? The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can be understood by one who is favored by the Lord. The Lord cannot be understood by others. Amsuman uvacha na pasyati tvam param atmano jano na bhujyate dwapi samadhi yuktibi kuto pare tasya mana shariradi vishargasrista vayam aprakasa. Amsumam said, my Lord, even Lord Brahma is to this very day unable to understand your position, which is far beyond himself, either by meditation or by mental speculation. So what to speak of others like us, who have been created by Brahma in various forms as demigods, animals, human beings, birds, and beasts? We are completely in ignorance. Therefore, how can we know you, who are the transcendents? So Amsuman is asking for mercy. He wants his uncles to be excused. And he's also speaking of his own insufficiency. How can we understand you? Right? So he's expressing humility based on objective facts. His objective fact is we really can't know who you are. So we need to be humble to get the mercy of the Lord, yes? You going to be merciful to someone who's arrogant? Any of you? Would you be merciful to someone who's arrogant? If someone offended you and then they were arrogant, would you show them mercy? Yes? No. So he's on a mission. Now, will Amsuman's mission be fulfilled by Amsuman? Is he going to be successful? No. It's going to be, I think, 2 or 3 generations after him that will be successful, but he's building on that. Gradually, it's a mission that will gradually be done over some generations. Is that kind of typical often for missions in the Lord's service? Bhakti-Vinod had a mission. He sent a book to McGill University in Canada. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati established Gaudiya Math throughout India and sent a mission to London. And then Srila Prabhupada took that, expanded it all over the world. And then Prabhupada's disciples and grand disciples have also expanded it. Have we become fully successful yet? No. But we can see that each generation is building on that success. So the same thing is happening here with liberating the uncles. Yes. So we also have a mission. Do we all have a mission? Everybody have a mission? So we have a general mission as part of the Hare Krishna movement. Prabhupada gave us 7 purposes of ISKCON. Have we fully fulfilled all the 7 purposes of ISKCON yet? By the way, purpose number 5 is definitely fulfilled at Govardhan Eco Village. I told them in Govardhan Eco Village, I said you should have a plaque up with the 5th mission of the Hare Krishna movement and how you've actually achieved it here. And I'd say it's been achieved to a large extent in New Vrajdam, also in Hungary. But I think Govardhan Eco Village has superseded Hungary. They can have a competition. Prabhupada would be very pleased about that. So we have a great mission to bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, and those of us in ISKCON to bring that movement in the mood of Srila Prabhupada, who's specifically empowered to bring that movement all over the world, to bring that all over the world. Now, we may not achieve that in our lifetime, but we can still build on that. We can build on what and Prabhupada wanted us to do that. He wanted us to maintain everything nicely and also to expand. Then we also have a personal mission. What's our personal mission? I hope we all have the same personal mission. What's our personal mission? Prema Pumartha Mahan. Our personal mission is to achieve love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, probably in Vraj Lila, or maybe in Gora Lila, or both. So that is our personal mission, Krishna Prema, to develop love of God. And then we have a societal mission. So in order to achieve any mission, one has to be able to understand what is our goal and whether or not we're attaining that goal. Even if you have a very, very simple temporary mission, like I need to buy some oranges, you still have to have a sense of what your goal is and how you know whether or not you're achieving it. Am I correct? Now, in order to do that, you have to be able to see clearly. We had this word for seeing in this verse. What was the word? What was the Sanskrit word? It's not up on the board because on the board is the verse 18, and we're talking about verse 21. So what was the Sanskrit word for seeing? Pasyati, but you're looking at your phone, so yes. Pasyati. We have to be able to see what is the goal. Buddhaya, we have to be able to understand the goal. But we have a problem that Amsuman says we're not going to be able to see or understand the goal. This is a problem. How are we going to achieve a goal we cannot see and cannot understand? We cannot see it with our gross senses. We cannot understand it with our mind. We cannot even understand it if we go into deep, what was the word? Samadhi. That's a problem. We can't see, understand, or even through meditation know what is the goal, whether or not we're achieving the goal, how to achieve it. That is a problem. Before achieving any mission, we have to have objective knowledge. Where am I going? What are the landmarks? Devotee was driving me here from the airport, and somehow the GPS was taking us to the wrong place. And she was able to see, oh, wait a minute, it's going the wrong way, and make some adjustment. But unfortunately, we don't have the ability by any of the means normally available to us. So we don't have the ability through our senses, we don't have the ability through our mind and intelligence, we don't even have the ability if we go into deep meditation. So how are we going to be able to know? Only through what? How are we going to know? Mercy. Okay. So the fact that we need to have a clear goal is not even understood by most people. I'd say most people are kind of stumbling through life. Like, where are you going? What are you trying to achieve? I don't know. How will you know if you achieve it if you don't even know what you're trying to achieve? Am I correct? You go up to most people, what's your goal? What are they going to say? I don't know. To be happy? Maybe they're going to say that. But they're not even going to recognize what happiness is. They don't even know what it looks like. They wouldn't even know what it was if they found it. Or I'm going to achieve success. What does that mean? If we say, does he have a successful career? What do we usually mean? Do they have a lot of money? What's a lot of money? How do you define a lot? What's the border? And do we know people who have a lot of money who are miserable? Yeah. And do we know people who only have a little bit of money and are happy? So that can't be success. When we're thinking, I'm going to be happy, that's pretty vague. Or I'm going to have a lot of money. Again, what is a lot? 50,000 a year, 100,000 a year, 500,000 a year? I was just talking to someone in London who makes $500,000, not dollars, pounds, 500,000 British pounds a year. That's a lot of money. I think for most of us, yes? I'm not going to ask you, but I'm sure most of us don't make 500,000 British pounds a year. And he's in so much anxiety that he's not having enough money. He's 29, and I said, are you married? He said, no. He said, I don't have any time to look for a wife because I'm so busy making money. I'm like, well, what are you making money for? What's all this money for? He said, mostly I'm just saving it. I'm not spending it. What are you saving it for? What's your purpose? And he's completely stressed all the time on every level. So is he a success? No, he didn't feel successful. He wanted to make some change. So I can't see where I'm going because I'm covered by Rajas and Tamas. That's the problem. So Krishna says that in Tamagun, you think what's good is bad and what's bad is good. You think if I'm working 80 hours a week and I don't have any time for anything else in my life, but I've got a few million pounds in the bank, then I'm successful. So you think what's bad is good. You think what's good is bad. Because everything's backwards. And then in Rajagun, we're just confused. Like sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't get it right. We partially can see what's a good goal and partially can't see what's a good goal. So then we're wasting a whole lot of time going in the wrong direction or looking for the wrong thing. Now, you can say, well, this just happens to materialistic people. The person I talked to was not a materialist. He was a devotee, born and raised in a family of devotees, practicing sadhana. So he was a devotee and still he was confused. Can devotees also be confused? Yeah, happens a lot. actually. And Srila Rupa Goswami says we can mistake weeds for bhakti. This also happens. You know, we think getting a title or a position in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is a measure of our advancement, or we measure things just by external quantifiable criteria. How many sticks of incense have I waved, or how many books have I sold, or how much money have I collected, or how many carrots have I peeled, or something, you know, we're measuring like that, whether or not I've made advancement, or how much we've expanded the mission. We look at just simply numbers. I'm not saying numbers are meaningless, but to look at just numbers is not a good gauge. So I've seen this also in our Hare Krishna movement, on an individual level and on a collective level, that we're misidentifying the goal. And then we're not happy with what we get. You know, we work hard and we have whatever, 5 million pounds in the bank, or I don't know how many millions of pounds he has in the bank, probably a lot. And then we're still not even happy. Yes, or I ostensibly do so much service, but I'm still not happy. Or I might not achieve anything at all if I'm working for the wrong goal, right? I may be working and not getting anywhere. So the problem is that we have an inability to have factual knowledge by any of our normal means. And I know we say this stuff all the time, but I'm embarrassed to say that it took me many years of being in the Hare Krishna movement before I realized that these statements also applied to me and didn't just apply to those materialistic people out there. So our senses are imperfect. We all say, yes, yes, my senses are imperfect. Do we believe that? Not really. We generally believe what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we smell is objective truth. My dear friends, it is not. So examples given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his commentary on the Chaturshloki, that in a dark room we may see thieves but not the actual objects, and when the light is turned on we see the actual objects but no thieves. So I had, our oldest son has a place in Hawaii, and I like to take a walk early in the morning before it gets too hot. So I'll go out when it's still pretty dark. I'll walk up and down the street. And at the end of his street, there's some lamp poles and telephone poles and some mailboxes that whenever I go outside, it looks like 3 people standing there. And although I've been there many, many times, and I've taken that walk many, many times, when I first see that, I always jump and think, oh, what are 3 people doing out here at 4 o'clock in the morning? What are they doing? They must be dangerous people. Of course, I'm out at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not dangerous, I hope. But somehow I think if there's 3 people standing there at 4 in the morning, they must be dangerous. And then I go, oh yeah, that's just the light pole and the telephone pole and a mailbox. There I remind myself, but my initial sense perception is mistaken. And every time I see it, I have that initial reaction. Who are those people standing there? So we all have experience that we mishear things, we miss-see things, we miss-smell things, we miss-taste things, we miss-touch things, and yet we still put so much emphasis on our sense perception as being accurate. But it is not. And I cannot perceive subtle objects at all. Prabhupada talks about this all the time. I cannot see your mind. I know you have one, but I can't see it. I know you have intelligence, but I can't see it. I can't perceive it. I can see it and hear it indirectly, but I can't perceive it directly. All right. Then our mind and intelligence is also imperfect and makes mistakes and is illusioned and cheat. And again, we hear this and we think, well, this applies to everyone else, but it doesn't apply to me. We think what I perceive by my senses is correct, and what I think about what I perceive is also objective truth. However, such is not the case. It just isn't the case. I hear and see and taste and smell and touch something, and my mind tells me a story about what that sense perception means. But my story is never exactly the same as objective truth. It just isn't the same. Have we all been absolutely sure about something and been wrong? Have people been absolutely sure about something about us that was wrong? Someone will come, well, you did this and you did this, and we're like, I didn't do any of that. Well, you said this, that's not what I said. Yes, have we all experienced this? Yeah. And still, we take the stories that our mind and intelligence tells us as the same as objective fact. It actually astonishes me that we do this. Something happens and we tell a story about it, and we don't even realize we're telling a story about it. We think we're understanding what actually happened. It's just not true. It's not true for any of us at any time. Our assessments about what our senses perceived is flawed on the level of sense perception, and it's flawed on the level of our mind and intelligence interpretation of that sense perception. But we don't think of it as an interpretation. We think of it as, I'm understanding the truth. And because we all have different perceptions and different interpretations, therefore we have so many misunderstandings and miscommunications and so many problems in our dealings with other living beings. Something happens, and we have as many stories about what happened as there are people who experienced it. And so there arises conflict, which would not so much arise if we didn't take our senses and mind so seriously. And again, this took me years to understand that these statements were applicable to myself, which was a very embarrassing realization. That for how many years I took the perception of my senses and the understanding of my mind as if what I understood to be the truth was the truth. So let's say that I figured that out, actually figured it out, and got a little humility. And then I learned how to control my senses and my mind and enter into deep meditation of samadhi. If you go deeply into samadhi, you're in touch with sattva gun. And in sattva gun, you can see things clearly up to a point. Even sattva gun is not infallible. Sattva gun is still contaminated by false ego. The false ego of sattva gun is, I am very spiritual. So it's still, I'm better than others. This strange aspect of sattva gun where you think, I see all living entities equally, therefore I am better than those who don't see everybody equally. You see some perversion of this mentality about like racism and prejudice, where there are, liberals who say, I have no racism and no prejudice, therefore I am better than those people who have racism and prejudice. So immediately you're not actually seeing everyone equally. Do you all understand the contradiction? I see everyone equally, therefore I am better than those who don't see everyone equally. So there's still some false ego contamination in sattva gun. It's a very subtle contamination, which is why it's so difficult to preach to people in sattva gun. Although sattva gun gives you the best opportunity for transcendence, people in sattva gun think they're already transcendental. So it's hard to try to achieve something you think you've already achieved. And even in sattva gun, we may not see the Lord. The demigods, Prabhupada talks about here in this purport as being in Rajagun. Generally, we understand that the demigods are in sattva gun. And even they cannot always see the Lord. They go with Lord Brahma to the ocean of milk, and they just have to wait, and they can't see him. And we see so many people who in sattva gun who are very bewildered, who still don't understand who is God, or what is the supreme goal of life. Some examples in our Shastra of sages who attained samadhi and who still were bewildered. What are some examples? Subhari Muni, yeah, he's a very good example. He got bewildered by fish pornography. I doubt if there's much of a market for that. I don't know, I have no idea. But he became, of course, it wasn't directly, ultimately it's because he offended Garuda, But still, even the fact that he offended Garuda was a bewilderment, correct? Even though he could enter into samadhi. Some other example of someone in samadhi who became bewildered? Vishvamrita, which is a prime example that Srila Prabhupada gives. He was bewildered twice. Once by Menaka and once by Ramba. Once into lust, once into anger. So it's even possible in samadhi to be bewildered. You're not really free of the gunas. Sattva guna is also entangling. Sattva guna is perhaps the most dangerous because it looks like spirituality. Of course, there's also spiritual samadhi, but that's not the samadhi that's being talked about in this verse. This verse is in reference to samadhi of the mind. All right, so what are we going to do? This is a real problem. And it's a real problem that, again, the vast majority of people aren't even acknowledging. I need to have a goal. If I don't have a goal, then what am I going to achieve in life? Like when I was a teenager and petrol was cheap. Do you call it petrol or gas here? Petrol. So when petrol was cheap, 27 cents a gallon, I remember when I was a teenager. So we would just, fill up the tank and just drive around. Where are we going? We're not going anywhere. We're just driving around. So what is the point of that? So we have to have a goal. We have to know what's a valid goal. We have to know when we've achieved it. We have to know the landmarks. But we have no way of doing that. Our senses are imperfect. Our mind and intelligence is bewildered. Even in sattva gun, we're still bewildered. So we seem to be in an absolutely impossible situation that we have to do something which we don't have the means or the instruments to do. It's like, I don't know what it is about Indian airport security. I can't figure it out. I'm trying to figure out who I could write to try to fix this. So in Indian airport security, they will take away scissors even if the blade is only a centimeter long with rounded tips, like used for cutting baby fingernails. And no other country will take away such a scissors. Only India. Of course, on their website it says they take away pointy-end scissors, but the security people, they'll just take it away. And I'll say, look, it says here on your website. And they take it away anyway. They always take away my scissors. I even got some scissors that didn't look like scissors, and they found them. I thought I got a good flight from London to Melbourne by going through Delhi. I thought, oh, it's a great flight. And then they made me go through security again in Delhi, and they took my scissors. My obvious baby scissors, and I thought it was a hidden scissors. I thought they would never find it, and they said, isn't this also a scissors? I'm like, it didn't even have like loops for your fingers. I don't know how they figured out it was a scissors. And so I was given some boga to offer to my deities. So one of them was a bag that has like a Ziploc thing. But the other you have to cut with the scissors. And I don't have any scissors. So I can't, and I don't have any hands either. So I couldn't open it. So I've just been offering the apricots, which is fine. I'm sure Giriraj is happy with apricots. But my point is I had a goal, but I didn't have the tool. You understand? I had a goal, but I didn't have a tool. How could I achieve my goal? I can't open the package. Have you ever tried to open any of these plastic clamshell packages and you don't have the right tools and you're just frustrated? So that's what the material life is like. You're trying to open this package of life and the Indian security took your scissors and you can't open it. You don't know what is the goal or how to achieve it. So what are we going to do? We have to ask for mercy. That's humbling. It's hard. We don't want to ask for mercy. One of the most difficult things about having a broken limb is that I need more help than I usually need, and it's difficult to ask for help. To say, I can't do it. Can you help me? Even with very small, ordinary things. You know, it's hard. It's hard to be able to actually say, my senses are imperfect. I'm not perceiving reality. I don't really know. I think I know, but I don't know. My dear friends, that is very difficult. I was chanting 16 rounds, 3 Gayatris for decades in the Hare Krishna movement before I realized that my own senses and my own mind are also imperfect. And what I perceive as reality is not so. And I run into this all the time with devotees. If you ask the ISKCON Resolve people, I'm sure they could tell you many stories. And that I really need mercy. I mean, I can say that. Please be merciful unto me. Give me the shelter of your lotus feet. It's something I've memorized, you know. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishame bhavambuja. But inside I'm thinking, I can get it together myself. So to ask for mercy. Of course, some people ask the Lord's mercy, many people, so they can be a better material enjoyer. They don't really want to know the goal of life. The demigods in general are like this. They're saying, we can't figure out how to enjoy this world. We can't figure out how it works. Give me mercy so I can enjoy it. And I would hazard a guess that most religionists are in this category, including probably a lot of people who visit our temple here in Melbourne. That the goal is, my dear Lord, please give me good grades. Please give me a happy spouse. Please, heal my hand. That we're asking for our enjoyment in this world. We're not asking to understand the real goal of life. So why does Krishna make it so hard? Have you ever asked that question? Why does he make it so hard? Well, what happens when you really know the goal of life and you fall in love with Krishna? What does Srila Rupa Goswami say in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu? The symptoms, he talks about the 6 symptoms of bhakti. And in Uttam Bhakti, he says one of the symptoms is that bhakti does what with Krishna? Yes, controls him. Krishna gets controlled by bhakti. Prabhupada says that the devotee has Krishna in his hand. What Prabhupada calls the elderly gopis, which just means they were adults. It doesn't mean they were my age. That they say to Krishna, dance, dance. We'll give you a sweet bowl if you dance. Prabhupada will often say, we can't go to Krishna and say, dance for me. But the gopis can. Mother Yasoda, Mother Rohini, and their friends. They can say to Krishna, dance. And little Krishna will dance. And then they laugh. Prabhupada talks about how Krishna wants to see Radharani, and Lalita will say, sorry, I have no order to let you see Radharani. You can't see her today. Does Krishna force his way through the door? No, he walks away and feels separation. The cowherd boys say, we won the fight, Krishna, you have to carry us on your shoulders. Who can talk to God like this? So those who really know the goal and know how to achieve the goal, they get in a position where they can talk to God like this. Well, they forget he's God even. Krishna is controlled by love to such an extent that there's no more formality. Mother Yasoda is tying Krishna up. She's chasing him with a stick. She's telling him not to be a thief. There's no formality. There's no reverence. When Krishna returns to Ras Leela, the gopis are saying, well, you're not a merchant. You don't love everyone like a pure devotee. So what kind of ungrateful person are you anyway? And they can talk to Krishna like that, and he's pleased with that. So Krishna doesn't want to let any old nonsense into such an intimate exchange. I mean, we're like that, right? We're careful who we really let into our heart, isn't it? And I'm sure we've all had experience of revealing something of ourselves to people who ended up using that knowledge to hurt us in some way. So Krishna's he's not foolish. So he's keeping us out. You know, often we think, how do I have real faith in God? Do I trust God? But I really like Satchidananda Maharaj said this at one time. It's something that affected me very deeply. How much does God trust us? It's not just a question of do I trust him? How much does he trust us? How reliable am I? Not just how reliable am I in 4 regulative principles and 16 rounds and 3 Gayatri and offering my food, but how reliable am I in my mood of devotion? How much do I want to exploit Krishna? How much do I want to, you know, people in this world, they want to make friends with rich and powerful persons so that they can use them. Is that why I'm going to God? So getting Krishna's mercy is not just asking for mercy, it requires a tremendous amount of honest humility. I mean, we could practically say it requires absolute humility. Srila Sanatana Goswami talks about this a lot in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. When Gopakumar, who actually already attains the spiritual world, and he's there in Dwarka, and he wants to enter into Vrindavan, and Srila Sanatana Goswami speaking through Uddhava and Narada Muni, tell him, unless you have complete humility, you're not going to have prema. Absolutely zero arrogance. Is that easy? Is that easy? Is it easy? No, it's very, very difficult. It's very easy to have external humility. We're very good at that in the Hare Krishna movement. Hang around just for a few weeks, you'll figure out how to do that. We're really good at that. And that's not bad in and of itself. At least it establishes the fact that we value humility. For a long time, I thought that sort of stuff was really unpalatable. And then as part of getting my doctorate degree, I had to work in a government school for a year. And I thought, wow, the materialists don't even pretend to have humility. I thought at least the devotees have. Pretending to have humility at least shows that it's something we want to achieve and something we value. But real humility isn't, you take the cushion. No, you take the cushion, Prabhu. No, you take the cushion, Prabhu. Let me wash your plate. No, let me wash your plate. No, let me wash your plate. We do these funny little things. But real humility is giving up our false ego. Ishwaraham aham bhogi siddham. That I'm the controller, I'm the enjoyer, that I'm right. That my senses and my mind perceive things correctly. That I really know what's going on, that I know what you're thinking, that I even understand what I'm thinking, that I even really understand my own motives. Real humility is, wait a minute, I'm not really certain about anything. What am I certain about? What do I know? Nothing. Prabhupada would like to quote Sir Isaac Newton, the more I learn, the more I know that I don't know. Something like that. You know, I'm picking up a few grains of knowledge on the shore of the ocean. I don't really know anything. The great devotees say, in their humility, they say, even my motives are not good. Lord, I don't know what to do. They don't come to the Lord pretending to be pure or pretending to know anything. They're like, I'm just rotten and lousy. Now, that's not tamagun self-hatred, by the way. That's another pretense. That's actually a very dangerous pretense. I'm fallen, I'm low, I don't know anything. That's not attractive. Is that attractive? If someone offends us and they come to try to apologize and they say, well, I just hate myself. I'm a terrible person, so you should forgive me. It's like, that's just another excuse, isn't it? That's not attractive. Real humility is, I'm actually a wonderful person. I'm a soul. I'm part of the Lord. I should be in a position of glory, but I have chosen somehow or other to enter into, to be covered by false ego, to enter into illusion. So that's a pretty bad choice, and that's not just a choice I made at some inconceivable time in some inconceivable way that we can argue about ad infinitum. But it's a choice that I'm making now. Prabhupada says 24 hours a day. Krishna is giving us an imperceptible choice. There's a choice I'm making now to be in rebellion against Krishna and to really see that. And to let go of that, that I'm so great, I'm so special, to delight in the fact that I'm an insignificant living entity, and that without the Lord's mercy I can't do anything. It's one of the symptoms of surrender, to have that. It's such a relief that I don't have to pretend that I know anything, and I don't have to pretend that I perceive anything properly, and I don't have to pretend that I'm full of all elevated motives. I don't have to, what a relief. Or I can just go, my Lord, I don't have anything to offer you. I can't offer you anything gross and external because it all already belongs to you. I can't offer anything subtle to you because my mind and intelligence are all polluted. I can't even offer you love because unless the Ladini Shakti, as Prabhupada says in CC, awakens that love within me, all I have is something contaminated. I have nothing to offer you, but I wish I did. I wish I did. All I can offer you is my broken, contaminated self, knowing that my real pure self is already there. But this is all I've got. And I need your mercy to remove Maya, like Prabhupada said in his prayers. Only you, Lord, can remove this. I need your mercy to remove this. Otherwise, I can't remove it myself. I can't get rid of Maya myself. Right? Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya dharati amam eviye prapadente mayam etam tarantite. I can't do it without your help. I'm helpless. I can't see you. I can't understand you. I can't achieve you. I can't do anything. I'm trying, but I need your help. And I need your help for our other mission, our greater mission. I can't spread the Sankirtan movement without your mercy. I can't achieve my own personal mission of prema, and I can't achieve the mission of Srila Prabhupada without mercy. Please, Lord, give me your mercy. Not because I deserve it, but because I have no other hope than that. And somehow I want to achieve it on some level, in some way, to some extent. Whatever extent I can muster, as Srila Rupa Goswami says, my devotion is just like a tiny mustard seed. But Durgata Gatana, you make the impossible possible. So you please make this possible. So we have to have knowledge of our goal and how to achieve it, but we don't have the tools. We don't have the means to do it, so we're constantly frustrated. And therefore we need this mercy. So we should be chanting our japa in this mood. We should be doing kirtan in this mood. And we should associate with the great devotees who have that mercy. Associating with Srila Prabhupada, through his books, through his lectures, through those who we see are actually shining with that mercy. And then we have some hope, because although Krishna is hiding himself because he doesn't want to be exploited, he's also very kind and loving and forgiving. If he could be kind to Putana, then we have a chance. That's what when Pundarik Vidyanidhi was meditating on that verse, he was immediately in ecstasy. So Putana is my personal hope in Krishna consciousness. I'm like, she doesn't do anything good. She was just pretending. And still she got mercy. So if Krishna, if you can be merciful to Putana, somehow you can be merciful to me. So this should be our meditation. This should be the mood. And if we can't keep that up every waking moment, at least sometime during the day to stop and say, Krishna, I need your mercy. Srila Prabhupada, I need your mercy. Oh Vaishnava Thakura, oh great Vaishnavas, I need your mercy. Please talk to Krishna about me. How is Krishna going to hear my plea for mercy? But you're a great devotee. You can go to Krishna for me. And you can beg on my behalf. Oh Srimati Radharani, you please recommend me to your Krishna. Oh Lord Nityananda, you please recommend me to Lord Chaitanya. At least sometime every day to actually ask for mercy, to remember that, and not to take our mind and senses so seriously. Not to take our conditioned self so seriously. So questions, comments, additions, subtractions, corrections? Yes?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a nice class. If our senses are limited, if our senses and mind are limited, how can we actually perceive the Lord's mercy?
How do we perceive the Lord's mercy? Oh, good question. You're not perceiving it with your mind and senses. You're perceiving it directly with the soul. So my favorite verse in this regard is Bhagavad Gita 9.2. Raja Vidya Rajaguyam Pavitram Idamuttamam Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dharmam Susukam Kartamaviyam. Raja Vidya, when you get some mercy from the Lord, you get this amazing knowledge. We've all experienced this. We call it our realizations. Or it can also be called epiphanies, where all of a sudden we understand things that we couldn't understand before. You've had this experience? Yes. Rajaguyam, you can understand the essence of things. You understand what is the actually essence. I remember when I was very, very new in the Hare Krishna movement, and I went out on book distribution, and I could just see, wow, there's the modes of material nature. You just see you've had this experience also, I'm sure, yes. We've all had this experience. That you just see the essence. Pavitram, you feel purified. By the way, that's dynamic. It's not like you feel purified and then you're like, okay, now I'm purified. When Prahlad Maharaj had Nrsingadev's hand on his head, he felt purified. When Maharaj Yudhisthira embraced Krishna, he felt purified. When the residents of Vrindavan embraced Krishna after the killing of Bakasura, they all felt purified. So that feeling of purification, it keeps going on and on and on. But that internal sense, like you just took a bath after being really hot and sweaty. Yeah? The way that feels? But you feel it internally. Pratyaksha, we perceive it directly. Not with our material senses, actually with the senses of the soul. Agamam dharmam. Dharmam, it's authentic. And we can tell, I give this example all the time. We can tell something that's authentic. We can be fooled with the false to think it's authentic, but once you taste the authentic, you're never fooled again. Now, I give this example all the time. I'm sure you can go to stores here in Australia and buy fake fruit juice. Water with some coloring and some sugar and some flavoring, and maybe they put a few drops of fruit juice in it so they can say contains real fruit juice. But then if you get fruit that's tree ripened, organically grown, locally grown, picked that day, have you ever had fruit like that? You'll never again mistake fake fruit juice for real fruit juice after you've had that kind of fruit. I'm not talking about the fruit that sits in the grocery store that's, picked unripe and flown in from Chile or something. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. Yeah. Dharmam. Susukam, you become happy. You become really genuinely happy. You become happy in a way that you can't experience in this world just by sense pleasures. And then your mercy should be in accord with Guru Sadhu Shastra. That's the objective. So subjective is 9.2. Objective is it's within the realm of Guru Sadhu and Shastra. That's how you know it's not some imagination. Excellent question. Anybody else? Is that all right? Okay. Yes.
So I have a question that how do we understand that we are humilate person or we are less confident person?
How do we understand what?
We are humilate person or less confident. Sometimes if you
How do you know the difference between low self-esteem and humility?
Yes.
Humility is joyful. Low self-esteem is miserable. And low self-esteem is really, it's just another way of making excuses. And feeling hopeless. So in Tamagun, we look at our problems in life and either we blame someone else, it's my parents' fault, that's the big one. It's my teacher's fault, it's society's fault, and I can't do anything about it. or it's my fault and I can't do anything about it. That's tamagun. So tamagun is I'm a terrible low person and I can't change, I can't do anything about it. I'm helpless. Humility is very joyful. Humility is I'm a soul, I'm glorious. I'm actually beautiful, I'm a genius, I'm effulgent, I'm amazing. But I also jumped into a pot of pig stool voluntarily by being in this material world. So I can do something about it by asking for mercy and following a process of cleaning myself. It's more a sense of, therefore, I have responsibility. Tamagun is, I can't do anything about it. It's just the way it is, and I just have to wallow in my fallenness. And real humility is a sense of responsibility, a sense of ownership. And it's very joyful. It's full of gratitude that whatever I get is beyond what I deserve. It's full of truth. I'm a glorious being who's contaminated by my own foolishness. And it's full of joy. I have great hope. Tamagun is very hopeless. Real humility is very hopeful. What is it? Hoping against hope. So yeah, if you're just thinking everything's hopeless and I can't do anything about it because I'm just too fallen and I just have to rot here and wallow and be depressed, then that's tamagun. And if you're overwhelmed with gratitude and you're overwhelmed with joy and you're overwhelmed with hope, then that's actual humility. Genuinely humble people are really nice to be around, and tamagun people are really not nice to be around. Anything else? No? Okay. So who is talking in today's verse? Anybody remember? You can't see it there because that wasn't the one we talked about. Amsuman. Amsuman. And he's the grandson of Sagara. And what was his mission? To get back the horse and to liberate his uncle. So when he sees Lord Kapila, what does he say? No one can understand you. So he took immediately a mood of humility on behalf of his uncles and on behalf of himself. So anything good in this class is from Srila Prabhupada, Sukadeva Goswami, all of our acharyas. Anything bad in this class is my personal responsibility. So I hope that you can take the good and leave aside the bad. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.